All right, it's your boy Conservist 34 here on a Sunday. A little bitter because I'm drinking Dreaming Tree wine, which is finished, and it is bitter. The Crush uh, Dreaming Tree wine that Dave Matthews had put together with the vineyard out there in Virginia. And also bitter because the Patriots lost in the last play, and I'm a diehard Patriots fan, and it sucked. But life goes on. It could be worse. I could be a Giants fan. So you know, it is what it is. But I did want to talk about this Dave Matthews Band tour. And this second leg of the tour, we have the shows from New Hampshire all the way through Montreal. It's really, I would call it leg 2 or 3 because there's going to be a final batch of shows here in Philly, DC, and 2 in Seville, Charlottesville, Virginia. So I just wanted to share some thoughts. I did want to start off my video just bringing an issue to light, and I'm not an expert on this. I'm just learning about this. I never worked on a farm a day in my life. I have been to many farms through school, through just going to get specialty items like apples, apple pies, certain vegetables, and something my parents have always instilled as far as farmers markets. I come from a family that farms and still in small aspects, but just more like just for their own personal gain. But they had farms in Lumpkin, Georgia. So it is something in my history, but again, I am not an expert. But I did want to just bring to light an article, and I'll post it below this live stream link once I put this up and then edit it to put it here. But I just wanted to bring to light that this issue of farmer suicide is something that is real in this country, and it's something I didn't know about until I went to Farm Aid this September, and it was something that I literally saw a video of a farm here in Connecticut, Fort Hill Farm, where a farm owner committed suicide because he thought his family would be well off with medical payments, I believe it was, and just the farm in general if he took his own life. And it's a horrible thing, but it's something that is going on. I don't want to bring up numbers, any of that. I'm going to post a link below. But I really think that we really need to think about the farmers here across America, the small farmers, the local farmers across America. Just as we think of other issues this time of year, we think of those who are less fortunate that can't afford food, clothes. One thing, you see me sarcastic here, I'm very opinionated about music, but one thing I do every Saturday, every Sunday is I serve my community. I know many of you guys probably do the same, but I am passionate about helping the youth here in my local area, tons of volunteer stuff like that. I do different things to raise funds, to raise food, to give books out here at my local church. We do a bunch of different things to make a difference. But one thing we need to keep in mind is it's not necessarily just an issue with people that are living paycheck to paycheck in right down the street from you, but also the local farm. They won't tell you. They're not going to ask for help because they are, a lot of these local farmers they try to do what they can by themselves. But we have to look out for the local farms. We have to look out for the well-being and the alarming suicide rates of farmers. That is something that, again, I'll post a link. You can check out the stuff there. Check out Farm Aid, at the Farm Aid on Twitter, or at New York Farmer, at NY Farmer. Another great Twitter handle that I followed shortly. I believe it was shortly after. I had to check when I put this video, but I believe I followed it right after. I've definitely been seeing their posts since Farm Aid, but definitely look at that. Definitely, support these local farmers, and definitely go to farmers markets, go to different things. It's something my parents instilled in me. I've kind of forgot about over the last year, last 2 or 3 years living on my own, but it's something that I've started to do since Farm Aid. Go to the local farmer. When I'm in a city like Boston and I'm in certain markets there, I see what's from a local farm, and try to support those things there. But yeah, I'll put a link there. But let's talk about some D&B. One thing that I kind of thought would happen with this tour, and this is why I said I was going to one show, the sets are very similar. So some fans who enjoy just hearing the band, it's not going to matter to you. You can go to as many shows as you want, and the sets are going to be spectacular to you because you just want to see the band live. For someone like me that goes to a bunch of different shows, and the concert budget and the days that are the open dates that are available are very limited, again, with all the stuff I do with my job, and I don't even have kids yet. And it's hard. I don't know how people with kids go to all these shows, but and different things of volunteer mentoring and stuff I do, there's only certain dates that I can take off. So like I went to a Maxwell show the same day as the Boston show. So I knew I'm gonna go to Mohegan and that's it. And I also like to try to get different songs in, or try to go to shows economically that, hey, I'm gonna get these songs here, and then I'm gonna get these songs there from the band. A couple of repeats, it doesn't make me mad, but these sets are pretty much the same. New Hampshire and the TD Garden are very similar. Albany, which isn't in theory that far from Boston. Albany and Boston and Albany and New Hampshire aren't that far apart. This whole tour is tight. You know, if you went to that show, or if you went to Mohegan in Boston, or Mohegan in Albany, or you went to Mohegan in Madison Square Garden, you got a lot of the same show songs. They're not really mixing it up because they're saying, oh, well, Boston is here, and before we go to Boston, we're going to go to southern New Hampshire, which really, if you look at a map of major cities, southern New Hampshire is really almost like part of the Boston metro. If you compare like a Houston, Texas, a Dallas, Fort Worth, I mean, southern New Hampshire is right in the ring of what would be kind of a metroplex of a larger southern city. So they played a lot of the same songs. So that's what you're gonna get. That's what I expected, and you know, that's, you know, it is what it is. But these shows are, for the most part, just really good, really tight, really on point, and there's a lot of energy at these shows from the fans and the bands on stage. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up is what you know, I've seen from some fans on antsmarching.com and the message boards, and also just talking to fans that I know. But the first show, Columbus, Ohio, since that first show, the band hasn't taken as much risk as that first show. And this is something they do every year. You'll see a bunch of stuff come out in Houston, or when they did open up in 2010 in Hartford, they bust out all these liberations, just like Columbus. And then after that, you don't get much of those same songs. Like, we haven't got another Break Free. We've had another You Never Know, but only two of those. And, you know, you have the Sweet Emotions and the Kill the Kings, but you don't really have Sleep to Dream Her that much either in this tour. Let me just check that, because I believe if we look back, it may only be one of two or one of one. So the Sleep to Dream Her, one of two. So I think they played it at MSG. Yeah, they played at MSG as well. So, you know, Sleep to Dream Her isn't back outside of the MSG and Columbus and what I call leg one of the tour, really three legs of the tour here, 12 total shows, 4 in each leg. You don't really see it again. And this is something that the band always does. In some ways, it's like, hey, you know, they do it once, they make it special. Maybe they bring it back to Seville, and that's a cool thing. Or maybe they played it once, it was cool, but you know what? We want to focus on these songs coming out. And there are tour debuts that are coming out, and we're, you know, southern New Hampshire, we have, this is right after the next show after Mohegan, which I went to. You have tour debuts of Burning Down the House, Come On, Come On, and Boa, Best of What's Around, which was a nice way. Second song of the, you know, Funny the Way It Is to Best of What's Around was pretty dope. We go to Boston, and then, or Albany, excuse me, we get no tour debuts at all. And you get another You Never Know, and you get a lot of stuff that was in Madison Square Garden already. And then Boston, we get Bartender tour debut, a Belly Belly Nice, Away from the World comes back, Louisiana Bayou, and Christmas Song. Christmas Song is Liberated. Hadn't been played since 2014. So see, John says, see Val chance to be developed the guest features. So it could be vanilla, but at the same time, if Charlottesville gets a That Girl Is You. By the way, check out my Twitter. I played That Girl Is You on the xylophones in the church daycare today. when I was helping out there. So hopefully they invite me down to Seville to play, but probably not. But yeah, I mean, it depends because you don't know who's going to be at the back end of that. Preservation Hall Jazz Band may come out for That Girl Is You at the beginning of a set, maybe towards the end. But hey, if you have McCready or someone, some other popular, maybe Warren Haynes comes, he's in North Carolina, stuck in the ice and snow, jamming out with Dave Grohl right now. John Dix, That Girl Is You is a 2018 Dream Girl. Yeah, I agree. Except with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band, I know you went to the Gorge. I think John, I think that the one with the jazz band is pretty dope. I thought it was pretty dope, and it's starting to. I mean, it's starting to grow on me live. When I heard it in Mohegan, it was a lot better than when I heard it somewhere this year in one of the shows, Hartford. But it's yeah, I mean, it can be something where without that Preservation Hall Jazz Band, without a guest really tuning it up, it could be something you just kind of skip. Or I want to go to the next show. But I think that we'll have to see how it evolves. We'll have to see again if it's something where guests come on. I think it could be something that's more bearable there. But again, it is kind of formulaic and it builds up and it's like not much lyrical prowess, but it's it's about the energy. Montreal got the song that Jane likes in Rhyme and Reason, which was an X factor for that show. I think is that Rhyme and Reason being right before the end of the set there. Now I want to talk about Boston. Boston, if you were there, you probably experienced this. My friend, my boy Pete, who got me into going to these shows, was there, and there was some talk online from my friend texted me, Pete, and then I heard talks on different message boards, Facebook, D&B family, that some of the audio you couldn't hear the horns. My friend said during Watchtower, I believe you couldn't hear Tim do the Stairway to Heaven interpolation from where he was in the balcony. He couldn't really hear it. So there were some sound issues with Boston that I think are very unfortunate, and who knows, it could have been the venue, because Mohegan, I'll tell you this, when I went the weekend before to Mohegan on that Sunday, a week ago from today, the sound was perfect. Stairway was perfect. The interpolation of Stairway was perfect, and Watchtower was perfect. So the sound was great. It may have been a sound issue from someone with the band or the actual venue itself. I don't know, but something went wrong there with the Boston, some of those songs, Belly Belly Nice, the horns, and then Watchtower. So it's definitely something that, who knows, but, the other thing I think about Boston is, to me, I think it's one of the more disappointing shows of the tour, set-wise. I'm not, now, Bartender, hey, that's amazing. Granny, awesome to get that, see that again, third time of the show song. And then Christmas song and Say Goodbye. Great moments. My friend said Say Goodbye to Warehouse was amazing. Come On is a great song from the new album. Also kind of Batson Sessions, which is why it's so good, because it was written back in I'm guessing, the early 2000s. Maybe it was written all in 06, I don't know. But, I mean, Boston, to me, my friend even said it just, it was okay, but it wasn't anything special. And a lot of that's because at the end of this show, you have Bayou. Bayou has energy. But before Bayou, you have Belly Belly Nice, who in space between, so it slows down. Bayou, okay, it's energy. Then you go right to Where Are You Going? Yeah. And then She Crashing Into Me, for fans. So John says, 3 good songs, it's a success. Right. And that's what I was actually going to talk about next, which I will talk about in a second, about what can make or break a set. But the end of Boston, all right, Bayou, Where Are You Going, She, which is actually better now. And I think, John, if you get that in Seville, you'll probably see, to me, She sounds mixed better than it was back in the summer. It just sounds, I got it twice, and it just sounded weird. The guitars, I think it was Dave's baritone, and just the way it was all mixed wasn't good. Oh, you got the debut in Dallas. Okay. Yeah, but it just, when I heard it here in the Northeast twice, it just didn't sound as good mixed. And it is almost like a wannabe grunge Pearl Jam song. But I love the Buddy solo in it now that he has. That's a big part of it, and I think it's just mixed better. But Crashing to Me, and then PNP to Rapunzel. Rapunzel's a great song, but it's like after all that, the end of it, after Say Goodbye to Warehouse, that's the peak of it. The rest of that set is kind of and then you get Christmas song, which is dope, and then you get Watchtower, which for this tour is a good thing. But I think this it's probably one of the lower ranked shows to me, just looking on paper. Again, I wasn't there, but even my friend who was there, who has very similar opinions to me, he just said, it was okay, but nothing special. But the one thing is that John just pointed out is at this point in the band, there's two or three songs. If you get two or three songs that are awesome and great and amazing, that's really good, because the band has stuff that it's just the catalog is large, and the larger the catalog and they're still playing, they're not, you know, fish where they're gonna play out the songbook. They have to stick to what they know and keep it high energy, or keep it solid and tight and perfect. So I think, yeah, two or three songs that you really set it off. That's really what you'll take. And that's actually what happened at Mohegan. That's what happened last night. And just going back to last night, I was looking at the set, and it was, obviously Don't Drink the Water. To me, that's not a game breaker, just because it's A, played so much, and B, I don't like the harmonic kind of electric guitar Tim plays. Camden '07 was the last time I saw just floor. Okay, so yeah, '07. Right, because John's been watching this band for a minute. So that's the thing, is more experienced fans are used to the old sets back in the day. Everything was just perfect because the songs were in their prime. The band is now a third-line hockey player. The band now is a Larry Fitzgerald that's blocking more instead of taking those, that outside slot receivers position where they're going big or going home. Now they're inside. They have to cut in. They're blocking. So they're at a different point, and they're not who they used to be. They're older. Father Time is catching up, but they can still play. They can still play, but the songs are different and the energy is different. The fat Elvis stage of their career, right, when he was starting to gain some of the weight, the metabolism caught up. But for instance, so last night, we have a Don't Drink. Seek Up is dope. That Girl's You, Satellite, Jane, to me, 7, and Kill the Preacher, YM. The first 8 songs, Seek Up, that's the only real big knockout. We have an Again and Again, which I like. I love how Tim isn't like overbearing in that song, and he has a smooth guitar. Bayou, but here's where we get it. Here on Out, Lover Lay Down, just having those back to back. If you have your lady with you, your man with you, nice little beautiful part. Even if you don't, 2 beautiful songs. Much better than You and Me, but 2 beautiful love songs. And then you have, I would just say Lover Lay Down's a game breaker. To me, I like it. I love the sax. I love how it sounds. You then have a Sledgehammer, and then you have a Kill the King. Those are 3 songs that are just dope. Now, you can take away Sledgehammer because it's a cover, and you have Kill the King and Lover Lay Down. That's 2 songs that are really going to change the game. And then you go, Do You Remember Warehouse? Warehouse is dope. It's amazing, but it's a song that you get a lot. So it's like, okay, yep, I get that a lot. Here's where Montreal is like, wow, this impressed me. You have a Christmas song and then a Rhyme and Reason, and Christmas song is not in the encore. Christmas song is being played we're not even the last song of the regular set, but it's being played towards the end of the regular set. That's a surprise. People are probably thinking encore, but nope, you get it right at the 17 spot, and you have 18 and 19 to close out. So Christmas song to Rhyme and Reason, the tour debut, that's another game breaker. Those 2 combined, and that's what really makes or breaks. Like, hey, if I've been to a bunch of shows and I look for a little variety, I've been fed. Church has been served. Amen. I'm out of here. But then you get an Ants, which is always tight. Now, here's where the encore, the one other thing about Montreal, the You and Me, You and Me being the encore spot 1, to me is like that's a song you put earlier and so that people can go to the bathroom. Everyone's all hyped up and the first song is You and Me. That's just me. But I know some people like it. Some people make it their wedding songs. And trust me, I've been in love. I'm working on, I'm not in love right now, but I'm working on, developing a relationship that hopefully will transpire into something wonderful. But, You and Me is not the song I would play at my wedding. I'd play Here on Out, I'll Back You Up, those songs. So I just think that was a down spot. And I said, thoughts and prayers to the people in Montreal for that, to having that. And then PMP to Rapunzel is cool. I prefer it as a set ender, not an encore ender. But hey, I think when you have all that amazing stuff at the end of the set, rhyming Christmas, rhyming reason ants, and then you have a lover lay down, sledgehammer, kill the king. That kind of is what you're gonna get. And the other thing that is critical to me is, do you have a Jimmy thing? Do you have a samurai cop? In this show, which is Montreal, you don't have a Jimmy thing, and you don't have a samurai cop. And I know Dave, if you're watching this, you're the set creator. Play it as many times as you want. But for us fans that go to a bunch of shows, Jimmy thing is too long. But you guys are talented. Jeff Coffin is talented. Fonz is killing it with the bass line. Boom, boom, boom. They're talented, but when you go, just like you see Family too much and you get sick of certain habits, Jimmy thing is played too much. It's too long. Play a 5-minute version of it. Play an 8-minute version of it. But that's just how we feel as fans. But Dave, you're in control. You play whatever you want. If that makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. Play it. But there was no Jimmy and Samurai Cop in this show, so that's where you say, all right, I got a you and me. Yeah, the outro is what's unbearable. It's just too long, and yep, and yeah, and the scatting and the soloing, right? That's what John Jakes is saying about it. It's just, but you look at this show, does it have Jimmy thing? No. Does it have Samurai Cop? No. So it's like, okay, I'll take this show. It's dope. And again, I mean, whatever the band gives me at this point, they're doing really great things with the sets. Even though I'm very critical of what they do, they're doing great things with the set. Right, acoustic solo. I love, but you know what's interesting, John? I think this is another thing that I really think that Dave likes when Tim plays over him, so that, because it's something where if you look at Warehouse, you look at The Stone, you look at certain songs, Tim is playing the same. Satellite is a crazy. You listen to the Red Rocks '95 release of Satellite, and listen to Tim is on that. Listen to that version, and then listen to a 2018 version, or be at a show during a 2018 version. You can't even hear Dave's guitar during the chorus. So I really, I think that I miss Dave playing. I actually never really got to see the era where Dave played a lot more acoustic jams, intros, and outros as much as he used to. And I really wish I could have seen that. Some of like the Grace's Prelude, and just even in 41, he would play more and solo a little bit more over the bass and sax. But again, it's a different time, and I think that he likes Tim to have that support when he's playing hard, when he's working on his singing. Obviously Rab is a great, Rab Stevenson, great music industry, vocal coach. He's helping Dave focus on his voice, and I think just in case he flubs or messes up something, which he really does, he has Tim backing him up. So I think that may be something. The other thing too that's interesting is when you listen to the YouTube recordings of like SPAC Night 2, I was there. And go back, you listen to the YouTube recording. Tim people, right? So John's saying, yeah, everyone wanted Tim back because in the late '90s, he came back in the 2000s, but late '90s he had been around for the full band, especially '98. That was probably one of the heavier toured years Tim was there, because he was more subtle. He was more like Butch, and right, that '98 winter tour, the Worcester shows, Live Tracks 1, and then even the show either before or after that, and you had Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, and then Tim just a cherry on top, and then like I said, Red Rocks '95, he's on there too, but he was different. He wasn't as loud. But one of the good things about now is with Buddy in there, just like if you look at my Seek Up video, Buddy Strong is playing where Tim used to play in Seek Up. Tim has chilled out on Seek Up, and you're getting more of Buddy's piano. So in some ways, Buddy Strong has been an MVP just by letting Tim chill more. Get more on your chorus effects, get more on your regular clean effects, get off that heavy electric. And I love his little cool alien effects too. And the man is a wizard on the guitar, but sometimes it's not meant for every song. And I think that Buddy Strong playing on Seek Up, and even on Bartender, you're getting a little less Tim. But to me, that "Don't Drink the Water" when it's like the dun 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 that dun, he's playing a harmonic, which is those little like, if you don't play guitar, they're like on certain frets when like on typical situation where they go the dun dun after the, it's like it makes that little ringing sound, like a beautiful ringing sound. But he does that harmonic and he's playing a heavy distorted channel, and it just, to me, it ruins the begin, like it ruins the chorus to me, and the verses when he's on that heavy distorted harmonic. And I love hard rock. You ask anyone. I love Rush, Jacob's Ladder. I love Humphreys McGee, which is a prog rock band, a modern prog rock jam band. I love when they get heavy metal. I love Disturbed. I love alternative metal, 10 Years, some other stuff. But, a little Metallica too. But I just don't like when the Dave Matthews Band goes like that. But I mean, I think that these shows, if you go to one of these shows, if you think about going to one of these shows, go to a show. Go to a show. Go to a show. Yeah, and John saying the band lost a lot of his smoothness and sexiness when Leroy passed. Absolutely right. And Leroy was that soul. And with Buddy Strong coming from a gospel and an R&B background, he is bringing some of that back. Obviously, it won't be the same because he can't play sax. And Jeff Coffin is a talented sax player. I don't want to take anything away from Jeff. But the closest thing to Roy that I've heard is when I saw Branford Marsalis play with the band. And Branford, if you're a Deadhead, he played with Dead and Company at Lock-In, and they just have that sound. And actually, when Leroy actually learned how to play with Dave by listening to Branford Marsalis on Sting's album back in the 80s. The one Englishman in New York is in. I can't remember the name of that album. But that's how Leroy learned how to play, how he plays with Dave. He listened to because Branford Marsalis, this guy is a smooth saxophone player, and Sting's like, yo, my man, I need you right here. Come up, pull up, and come on the album. And Leroy studied that to get there. Yeah, and Coffin, and Jeff Coffin, I've listened to him on, like, he's been with Snarky Puppy, which is another great, amazing, they're more of an instrumental band, but I kind of even like him more with Snarky Puppy, but he's not the same as Roy. He can emulate parts of Leroy, but he's a different player, but I respect his talent and his skill. Matter of fact, the one thing I was thinking about the other day, I was a woodwind player. I played in the honors clarinet band. My uncle played at the Boston Conservatory and is a music teacher, very talented in all the woodwind instruments, saxophone, clarinet, bass clarinet, oboe. He could play all that stuff. But just coming from a woodwind background, the one thing I really respect about Jeff is he can play the flute and penny whistle, and he can play the saxophones as well. Now, some people study and they learn all the woodwinds when they go to music school. My uncle focused more on the reed-based instruments when he went to Boston Conservatory, so I have a little bit of background about him. But it's very impressive when he can play the flute and the penny whistle just, in a jam band setting, just as he can play the saxophones. I know the saxophones are his main squeeze, but that's the thing about Jeff that's underrated, and that's why I appreciate what he's done for the band. To get someone that can do all those things Leroy did and at least emulate it and then bring his own style, that's very hard. It's very hard to do it, and it makes me respect him more just for doing that. And, I really do respect what he did, what Jeff has done. Jeff was a blessing. Without Jeff, I don't know how the band continues. And also Jeff having the chemistry. The chemistry with the band is critical. Again, the same thing I say with the violin. The chemistry is very critical to the success of you being able to fit in. It's not about what you can learn, not how classically trained you were. It's not about scales, all that stuff you may know. You may have played with other jam bands, but if you can't gel with this band, if you're not bringing a certain energy, you just won't fit permanently. And there's many great guests that just wouldn't be able to fit permanently. The touring schedule is rigorous. As much as people say, oh, well, they're not like Fish or not like this and like that, Dave Matthews Band, they're still touring nonstop. Fish does a couple shows here and there. Dead and Company has their touring that's picked. They've had certain years. Like last year was a big year. They toured a lot, but they're not doing what Dave Matthews Band is doing as far as all of the shows that they pick up, touring the country, different legs, and doing all sorts of stops versus just doing a couple stadiums. What the Dave Matthews Band does is impressive for their age and for their energy, and not to say that there's not, Fish they jam. Dead End Company, they jam at a slower pace, which Dave Matthews should do with Don't Drink the Water and Great Street, slow it down. Anyway, but this band has high energy on stage. They're sweating bullets. And other bands are a little more chill with their jam, which is fine. I go to all sorts of stuff. With different types of concerts I go to. I go see shout out to Tim Palmieri from Kung Fu. I go see him. I've seen him with The Breakfast. I've seen, and then I go see Humphreys McGee, and then I go see Dave Matthews, and I go see, another band. So I see different stuff, and there's respect for all musicians who are great, but the energy that Dave Matthews Band puts on stage, it's very few bands do it as high as they do it and don't have the same set. I've seen bands that have as much energy or a little more than Dave Matthews Band, but they do the same set every night. They know what to expect. There's no improv. It's the same set thing. But what DMB does is they do they're different sets. Just changing out one or two songs is extremely difficult for a band to do at high energy. A lot of jam bands, they just sit there, they're chill, they're on stage, and they still have good presence, and the energy is awesome. But they're kind of more stationary. The band, DMB, they're moving around, dancing. Buddy's getting all into it. He's getting pumped up. Dave's jumping up and down, doing all sorts of stuff. It's definitely something that's underrated about the Dave Matthews Band. Another thing, we didn't need Away from the World. They tried it. Hey, they wanted to do it. That's their prerogative. But we didn't need a Belly Belly Nice. I mean, hey, they wanted to try it out. They did Rooftop this summer. But we really didn't need Away from the World. And there's fans. It's interesting looking on. This is more D&B family based. I don't know as much about People in Every Direction. Definitely not ants marching. No one's crying for mercy, literally to see mercy. But we really don't need Away from the World. We just got it. We haven't had it in the last couple years, but 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, we got tons of it. But it going away has made this tour great. But hey, they want to play a Belly Belly Nice or something else here and there. It is what it is. But I do like how, even so with this tour, they're keeping the new album Come Tomorrow to, 3 songs or so for every show. New Hampshire, 3. Going to Boston, they may have played 4. What did they do? Boston, they did 4. Oh, no, that's Albany, they did 4. And then Boston, going by the shows. So they did 4 in Boston. So they're picking up a little bit. But to me, 3 or 4 is perfect. You get the new album, you get a taste of it, but you still get the old stuff. And it's nice to see Bartender come back in Boston as well with Buddy on the keys. It's a great song to have the keys on. And then Come Tomorrow 4 in Montreal. Any other comments, questions? This is the point. Hey, if you bored, this is where you can cut it off. Thanks for watching. But any comments or questions, any other thoughts or ideas about the band? Any questions, John? I know you're heading out to the shows. Definitely comment away. I love talking to you guys. If you guys have any thoughts or input about the tour, about the band, about the direction of where they are going, I'll stay for a minute or two here if anyone has any other comments, questions. But I thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for watching. Even though, like I said, there's 4 people on here, and I know some people will watch later. But if there's any questions, any comments, things you want to talk about, this is the time. We're hitting that 33, 34-minute mark. As my Patriots lost 34-33. But I hope you guys enjoy the shows. Philly, DC, and then Charlottesville times 2. Whoever go, those should be some great shows. But any questions or comments, here's the time. If not, I'll shut this down in just a moment here. But like I said, the band, I have critiques. I'm very critical, but I think that these shows are great. These shows ultimately, even if they don't play the songs that I want, the energy is there. The covers, the sledgehammers, the Sweet Emotions, They are bringing energy. Even the Louisiana Bayous that are being played, only two of them, but those bring energy to a show. Kill the King sounds amazing. But that's actually a good song. Nah, not that it was, but like not that the covers aren't great, but Highlander live track, John. I'm still listening to that. I got to listen to the two step in its entirety and look at that, and I'll probably have a review. But I do think that the interesting thing about the live tracks, like I just was saying earlier, and what song am I missing the most? Well, live tracks 46. The one thing that's interesting, and this is what people have said as well, the live tracks and even the live streams, they can trick you into thinking that Dave's guitar sounds loud live. It doesn't. And you can hear it like So Much to Say. And Mohegan, I could hear it more than the other songs. And, parts of songs you can hear it. And it's turned up more than previous years. But the live tracks and the live streams are almost better than going to the show just because you can hear Dave's guitar. That's the frustrating thing about being at a show. I wish in the actual mix at the venue, you could hear his guitar no matter where you are through the speakers. And that's not always the case. I've sat dead center for a lot of these shows in the last couple of years. I've sat in the corners. I've sat in the pit. And you can't hear Dave's guitar. Then you go to a live tracks, and they do obviously modify it. But even a live stream, what they're getting, what the levels are in the live stream mix are a lot different than when you're there and you hear Dave's guitar much, much better. What song do I miss that I really would like to come back? Yeah, no, John, you're absolutely right. Where you're sitting does matter. Especially me sitting behind the mix for Mohegan and me sitting for some of the shows in dead center, like SPAC, versus Boston, where I was in the corner, Mansfield, Mass. Sorry, not Boston, Mansfield, Mass. This summer in the corner is a little bit of a mix. Yeah, it's not that I can't hear Dave's guitar as much as I wish it was turned up more compared to the other stuff. Like for instance, Satellite, and this is more. It's a mix of both. It's a mix of the sound levels, but it's also the mix of how loud people are playing. But I think it's more of the soundboard. Whoever's working the soundboard needs to turn down Tim, needs to turn down the horns and turn Dave up just a little more, because I love the Satellite chorus as a guitar player is just beautiful. The way how smooth Dave does it. It's not as easy as it looks, even though it's simple chords. The dun 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 dun, he slides over down towards the higher frets. That is one of the most beautiful sounds. And then the little bridge thing, beautiful guitar sounds in Satellite when he plays those full chords. But you don't hear it as much when you're at a live show because the horns are too overbearing. The guitar at times is turned up too much and playing over Dave versus where you have a little bit of Tim in the Red Rocks 95. What song do I miss the most? I have to go back to my first show, because my first show was 5/25/12, and it was just amazing. So because I got a blackjack that was 2 or 3. What song am I missing most that's not back? That's a good question. I do. Well, it's not my favorite, but no, because I was gonna say Virginia in the Rain, but Virginia in the Rain with Branford Marsalis and Death on the High Seas, like those with Branford. What was it? Kit Kat Jam and Bust. See, the thing is too, I haven't seen many rare stuff that I got once. I would love Raven's back, but I would love to personally hear it. What else? JTR definitely. We got JTR, but a JTR more prevalent would be awesome. Busted stuff is, yeah. I would love to hear a Kit Kat Jam. I've never heard that. 34. I'd love to hear that. But those are also kind of rarities. I would love to hear. I haven't heard it yet, but I would have loved to hear Shotgun with some sort of violin. Even if, to be honest, just like he does with the Stone, even if Buddy plays the string keys or string effects, I would love to hear a Shotgun. That's a song. Sugar Will. That's a good one. So Sugar Will did come back in 2016, and I got it. That was my only Sugar Will, but I would love to hear that. A lot of the '04 songs, yeah, that one and Joyride a little bit, you know. One song that, two songs that I think people like that I don't really care about. Help Myself. I just don't like the chord formation. I don't like. I just don't like. I just never been a fan of that. I don't really need to hear that. And then Little Thing, I or Little Wing, whatever. Loving Wings, not Little Thing. Sorry, not Little Thing. Loving Wings. I don't care about Loving Wings live. I just it's too repetitive. Crazy Easy, right? That's another one. Crazy. I forgot about Crazy Easy. Hello Again. I think I heard it. I think I heard it one of the times. Joyride for sure, yeah, but Sugar Will, Joyride. I mean, Sugar Will is just amazing, and having Buddy on it, having the keys and the organ, and then Tim is gonna be turned down a little more, but Tim's great on it. Tim is great. Tim's solo on Sugar Will 2016 was amazing. Roy on Loving. I just Loving Rings. I don't care. Even with Roy, I just it's too. It doesn't go anywhere. It's almost like I know Mercy is a totally different song, but it's just like it. It really should be like an interlude. Like it should just be like it should be a 2 minute like interlude into another song. Like anyone sees the bridge, seen the bridge. To me, Loving Wings just doesn't do it for me. Oh, I have that. The MSG bonus disc, I have that. That's an amazing bonus disc. I think it's like What You Are. Um, I actually bought that. I bought the Blu-ray too, which was the biggest hustle ever, but I still bought it just for the principle of having a live tracks on Blu-ray. Even though it's standard definition, it's standard definition, high definition Blu-ray. But that bonus track, that's what I mean. And that's why I was talking to you about that, John, earlier in the week. The bonus tracks for the live tracks 46. They're missed opportunities. I know they wanted to bring the new music. You get a live version. You get a live version. You get a live version for everything from Come Tomorrow. They wanted to get a live version from, except When I'm Weary, which they probably couldn't get all mixed and mastered or however they do it or modify it for release. By the time that was done, it was the end of the tour, so maybe not. They didn't have enough time, but I just think they could have the When the World Ends should have been on the bonus tracks with the cool new intro Buddy Strong had. Raven should have been on there. And what's Garbage? Oh, you're talking about the extended disc, yeah. But yeah, Raven should have been on there. When the World Ends should have been on there. And a Bartender should have been on there. I think the West Palm Beach one. I was at the SPAC one, but obviously that was on YouTube, and I think they wouldn't want to give a double dip of that. And I think, but I think the Bartender was on Sirius. And that's where I think the Sirius XM, it kind of backfired on the live tracks bonus disc because they did a lot of, a lot of stuff. Oh, you're on the, oh yeah, because you went to Deer Creek. Yeah, so maybe you are on there. Were you in the pit or the lower level or, I don't know. But yeah, I think the lot. I think there were some missed opportunities because of the they didn't want to do the stuff for Spotify is exclusive with Spotify. And actually, by the way, Spotify plays some of that stuff. I canceled my Spotify for the winter. I'll probably re-up for the summer shows of like Lock In, and they do a bunch of different festivals. I think they did 402 Fest. I can't remember, but a lot of the festivals is the only reason I listen to Sirius XM, and then obviously DMB Radio, which was oh, fourth row behind the okay, yeah, so you're probably in there. One of those shots there for that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because we got all this stuff. And shout out to Chad Dizzy. He has put up on Ants Marching a lot of the stuff. He's ripped a lot of the stuff from those live shows and then been able to make it available to consumers and fans there. But I have some of those rips, but I think that in the YouTube rips as well for SPAC Night 2 and the Camden one. I don't think I downloaded that one yet, but I mean, I think those ruined the extended tracks because I would rather have, if you could have told me, hey, you'll have these on the extended tracks, uh, and I couldn't get like a Sirius XM radio version of this show, that would have been fine. It would have been absolutely fine if they just said, all right, you gotta wait because it's obviously the live tracks version is gonna be the best sounding. The sound is gonna be up and more audible. But we do have tapers. They give us awesome. Shout out to the tapers. We do have people that can get the rips of these shows, and shout out to those guys like Chad Dizzy. But I mean, it is what it is. Life goes on. But the thing was, we were getting some dope extended tracks between between the Madison Square Garden one, between the Live Tracks 36, which I have as well. I was buying these based on the extended tracks. That's what I was doing, and is buying the ones with the dope extended tracks. Being a warehouse member, it was a great thing. And if the band's listening, and again, I'm sorry if I'm so critical. I really love you guys. You guys are amazing. I just am just like a sports analyst. I'm gonna give my opinion as a fan. I will defend you guys to the death. I'm sure no one in the band's listening to me for 45 minutes like we're at now. But the one thing, if I could provide feedback, and I did on Twitter, I posted, and I'm sure maybe they looked at it, maybe not. The feedback for this last bonus disc is, look, I know you had to promote the new album and all that, but if someone really wanted some of the Come Tomorrow stuff, they could stream the Camden or SPAC shows. It would have been nice to have some of the stuff, because I know, like, again and again, great song, but we got it on live stream for YouTube. If you want to listen to it, you can listen to it there. I would have loved to have more of the special moments, and I hope if you're doing the warehouse disc, whatever, put on a Raven from SPAC. Put on a When the World Ends from earlier in the tour. Was it Cuyahoga County there in Ohio where they played When the World? They played it in one of those shows. And I think it was that one. It was one of the Spotify shows. And if I could have a nice high quality version of that, I would pay 99. I'd pay $2 for it, $2, $3 just to get a When the World Ends or a Raven in its highest quality live tracks ready form. But we won't be able to get it. And to me, those are better. Forget the new album, which is still a great album to listen to in my opinion. I think that the best. Yeah, no, the tapers are really no, they've done a great job. And that's the thing is they're putting this stuff up quicker. DMB Hub, Ants Marching, they're doing a great job. But I just think that some of the special moments of this year are not necessarily the new music. It's what they've done with the old music. The So Damn Lucky outro in Mansfield, Mass. And some of the other stuff that they've done here with, like I said, Raven, with Bartender, with When the World Ends. That's what made this year great. And we talked about this as well, John, is, there's not necessarily like a knock it out of the park show. And I think that's the struggle of what live tracks do you pick from this year. Even SPAC Night 2, which I was at, it was live streamed. But even if it wasn't, it was a great show, but do you pick that show? The end of it kind of, before you got to the encore, kind of wore itself out. So there's not necessarily like, this show is boom, 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 boom. Even some of the actual Gorge shows, which were, they're still great shows, but for the Gorges of yesteryear, there wasn't a show that just straight up grand slam, Ken Griffey Jr. back in the 90s type home run. There was some definitely, doubles and a home run to the short porch at Yankee Stadium, but there wasn't a knock it out of the park, no doubt, a grand slam show this year. But that's not a bad thing. The energy was higher than ever. The shows to me were better than 2016. Just overall, like I said, the energy, the passion, the variety. The variety to me is the number one thing. The same songs but different outros, different intros. I think in So Much to Say in Mohegan, maybe I haven't heard it that much, but there was like a little different drum rhythm. Typical DMB can attest for that, and he pointed it out, where they were doing, like, Carter was kind of mixing it up and, changing it up as far as what he did during the chorus. So, but that's all I got for now. I will get something up for when we end this tour after the Seville shows, just to give my opinions on those. But we have the four. This be for that would be for leg 3. The final 4 shows: Philadelphia Freedom on the 11th. So DP Duke 69 says energy was better in 16 for me as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just think that what's going on now is so great. But we have Philly 11th, DC the 13th, Seville 14th and 15th. And those will be the shows I'll be looking at, trying to get some of the taper versions for the earlier shows. And yeah, the 15th is, I won't be able to do it on the 15th. Maybe that Monday, because I got to go to Hamilton on the 15th. Forgot about that. So my amazing godmother got me Hamilton tickets in Hartford at the Bushnell. So I'm going to Hamilton on the 15th, and I'm doing spoken word on the 16th. If you do want to see my spoken word, which is very limited, Onealm, O'Neal M, and search that on SoundCloud, and you'll see some of my spoken word poetry. But I do poetry. Sometimes I even will have like a 41 riff, loop it, and then do poetry over it. But yeah, I got some stuff for Saturday, Hamilton, Sunday, a performance at a church, doing some poems there, spoken word. So maybe Monday the 17th or the 18th, I'll have a review of that and a tour recap. What were the themes? How will we write this in the history books for this fall tour? But that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for staying on. And like I said, you can get off early. And then at the end, I'll always open it up for comments, thoughts, ideas. I really appreciate it, especially my boy John over here, John Dix, out there in Tennessee, down there. And I know we're praying for your Packers. I know it's been a tough year. But, hey, you never know. Next year's a new year, different coaching staff. You can get a free agent or two. I think that's the toughest thing for Green Bay is getting guys to come out to cold Green Bay to develop some great players. Some great players are retired, but you guys can get some free agents out there. What you have, you got some guys towards the end of their careers, but a fresh, young, ambitious free agent off their first contract. You guys will be back in business. I mean, that's what's great about football is the parity is there. It's about development of player development and having all the right pieces. And before you know it, hey, the Redskins, teams like the Redskins were in first place, obviously lost their quarterback, but they weren't expected to do much. And, I love football, I love hockey, I love all sports, but I love music. But thank you guys for being on. It's your boy Conserviz34. Again, I'm going to post a link of, if you're here late, I want to post a link about farmer suicide. I know it's kind of a serious issue, but I did want to bring light to something that, again, I saw by the Farm Aid Twitter page and then NY Farmers page at NY Farmer, because this is something that Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds and Neil Young, they've been preaching for years is, we need to help America's farms. We help, PETA, and this is I'm not saying it's a bad thing. PETA will help an endangered species. They will spend billions of dollars saving this endangered species. But we can't, when it comes to American farmers, there's not that amount of money. There's not as many. There are people that lobby. There are people that are fighting for these farmers, lawyers. I think NY Farmer is a lawyer that defends these families. But if we treated American farmers and dairy farmers that in states like where I am, they have to the same prices apply to them as they do in Alabama or a lower income state where it's cheaper to live. If things change with how we treat our local farmer, if we did it just like we do with animals, just like we do with children, and like obviously these are different issues, apples and oranges, but if we just had the same energy, had the same funding, who knows how things would change? Because animals are literally saved. They will spend millions of dollars breeding animals to make sure that they're after the endangered list. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't always work. Some animals have gone extinct. But this American farmer is it's just like read more. And I don't want to speak out of my lane, but it's just very sad. It's eye opening to me. It's not like even like I have access to this stuff. Before I went to Farm Aid, you're not even seeing this in the news. You're seeing all this partisan stuff, Democrat, Republican, Congress. Da, da, da. We have Americans that are farming, that are literally contemplating suicide so that the payout for their family will help their next generation. We have farmers that have been farming for hundreds of years on the same land, and this current generation bears the burden of having to sell cattle, sell livestock, sell other things, downsize their farm, or sell everything. And that's what I learned from Farm Aid. Again, I'm not an expert. Check out Farm Aid. Check out NY Farmer. But that's it. Wow, you 4 people still on, 55 minutes in. But let me leave for real now. It's your boy Conservist 34. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.